I couldn't believe my eyes. My stepmom showed up to my wedding wearing a white dress. Who does that? I was furious. But before I could react, my husband leaned in and quietly said, "She's just trying to get attention." I didn't expect him to do anything about it, but I clearly underestimated him. What he did next left everyone speechless and gave my stepmom the surprise of her life. Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The morning of the wedding was a blur of last-minute preparations and excitement. My bridesmaids bustled around me, their laughter and nervous energy filling the room as they helped me into my gown. Amid the lively chaos, I silently hoped everything would unfold as planned. What I didn't realize was just how unexpected the day would become. As I sat scrolling through heartfelt messages on my phone, feeling wrapped in love and support, my stepmom burst into the room. To my astonishment, she was wearing a white dress. My friends froze mid-conversation, their eyes widening in disbelief. This was meant to be my special day, yet it felt like she was trying to steal the spotlight. The air grew heavy with tension after my stepmom's dramatic entrance. My friends exchanged uneasy glances, uncertain of how to react. For now, though, no one dared to voice their thoughts. With a confident smile, my stepmom declared, "I deserve to shine today, too." I took a deep breath, doing my best to stay composed. Determined to keep the peace, I reminded myself to stay calm for the sake of the day. She appeared entirely unaffected by the stir she'd caused, as if her behavior was entirely normal. Meanwhile, my dad was outside, completely engrossed in greeting guests, oblivious to the scene unfolding inside. I couldn't help but wish he'd step in, notice her behavior, and put an end to it. But for now, he remained wrapped up in his own world. I was determined not to cause a scene on my wedding day. The ceremony finally began, and I did my best to focus on my vows and the love surrounding us. Yet, my gaze kept drifting to my stepmom, seated prominently in the front row, her white dress impossible to ignore and glaringly inappropriate. As the officiant's words filled the air, I stole glances at my husband, silently hoping he had a plan. As we stood at the altar, a quiet murmur rippled through the crowd. My dad glanced around, his confusion evident as he caught the faint whispers weaving through the rows of seated guests. Their eyes darted between me, my husband, and my stepmom, as if trying to decode a conversation no one had spoken aloud. Whatever my husband had planned, it needed to happen, and soon. With a confident smile and an air of composure, my stepmom carried herself as though her presence was perfectly ordinary. She sat there, seemingly content with the attention she commanded. Standing beside me, my husband exuded a calm confidence. I couldn't help but wonder what he was planning this time. Amid the chaos, his composure remained unshaken, and trusting him gave me a renewed sense of hope for whatever lay ahead. With the ceremony behind us, I clung to the hope that my husband's plan would succeed. I trusted him completely. Moments after we exchanged vows, he leaned in and whispered, "I've got this." His unwavering confidence reassured me, even though the details were still a mystery. At the reception, the guests avoided acknowledging that my stepmom had shown up in white, though her outfit undeniably stood out. Despite the awkwardness, the atmosphere remained lively, and the music and laughter filled the room, keeping the mood cheerful. My stepmom moved from one group to the next, effortlessly starting conversations at nearly every table. After a wonderful dinner, the toasts began. My husband stood up to speak, his words drawing everyone's attention. His speech was heartfelt, expressing deep gratitude for the love and support we had received from both families. Then, he shared memories from the past. I noticed my stepmom's discomfort grow as his words seemed to strike a nerve. The evening continued, but it was clear that the real drama had only just begun. As the night stretched on, my stepmom struggled to maintain her composure. Her nervous chuckles and restless shifting betrayed the effort it took to hold herself together. Across the room, my husband motioned for my father to follow him. Unaware of the tension simmering beneath the surface, my father joined him, and the sight of them walking toward my stepmom quickly became the focus of the room. My husband approached her and softly asked if she could join them for a private conversation outside. My dad, caught off guard, looked startled but didn't object. As they moved toward the exit, whispers filled the room, and I silently observed, trusting my husband to handle the situation. Outside, my stepmom's confident expression softened into one of concern. My husband spoke to her in a calm, steady tone, his presence diffusing the tension. As the conversation unfolded, my stepmom's discomfort grew as he addressed her recent decisions, each remark inching closer to the truth. As the conversation continued, My dad began to listen more closely. His once confused expression softened into one of understanding, and he started to sense the truth behind my stepmom's actions. Her excuses crumbled under his penetrating gaze, and it was clear she had underestimated the situation. My stepmom had thought she could deflect any accusations, but she hadn't anticipated the unwavering determination in my husband's eyes. Under the weight of everyone's expectant gaze, my stepmom's explanations began to falter. Her confidence unraveled as uncertainty crept into her words. My dad's expression hardened, his patience thinning. Outside, my dad began confronting my stepmom with pointed, direct questions. His tone grew sharper, and his gaze more resolute. My stepmom struggled to keep her composure, her voice trembling as she tried to explain, but it was clear she was unraveling. My husband stood by, subtly supporting my dad's approach. The tension in the air felt thick, like a storm about to break. My husband's persistence continued, cutting through my stepmom's excuses. My dad's patience grew thinner, and each contradiction fueled his frustration. It was clear that avoidance was no longer an option. My stepmom's facade began to crumble, and her once confident demeanor wavered. Her defenses unraveled under the pressure, exposing her uncertainty. With every question my husband asked, my stepmom's hesitations grew more pronounced. She struggled to provide clear explanations, each word dissected under their scrutiny. The tension in the air was palpable, and it seemed like a resolution was just out of reach. Back inside, a few friends asked about my husband's whereabouts, but I deflected, offering a reassuring smile. Meanwhile, a few family members approached me with worried expressions. I assured them it was just a family discussion, though the underlying tension was undeniable. Inside, the festivities' continued laughter, music, and celebration filled the air, creating a stark contrast to the situation outside. I found myself stealing glances at the door, silently hoping for a resolution. The lively atmosphere inside seemed worlds apart from the tension brewing just beyond the door, where the truth was finally starting to come to light. Outside, my husband stood resolute, his questions sharp and deliberate, determined to extract the final piece of the puzzle. The tension between him and my stepmom was palpable, with neither side willing to relent. My dad, mirroring his intensity, stood by, focused on the unfolding conversation. Together, their unwavering resolve left my stepmom with little room to evade the truth. My stepmom's white dress glimmered under the exterior lights, an ironic symbol of the situation. My dad's eyes, heavy with disappointment, reflected the weight of her choices, and it became clear that this moment was pivotal. Inside, the party buzzed with energy, a stark contrast to the confrontation unfolding just outside. I watched from the entrance, torn between the celebration and the tension brewing just beyond the door. My husband gave me a subtle nod, signaling it was time to return inside. My dad, lost in thought, seemed to carry the weight of the revelations outside, yet there was a flicker of relief on his face, as if the truth had brought some sense of resolution. As we returned to the party, my stepmom's bold demeanor had faded. Her steps were now hesitant, carrying a mix of relief and apprehension. The storm outside had subsided, but the tension lingered, and the guests inside began to whisper, sensing that something significant had transpired. Despite the subtle shifts, the warmth of the celebration remained intact, preserving the joy of the occasion. My husband's careful handling of the situation revealed my stepmom's secret affair. The shift in the room was almost immediate, with a growing realization sweeping through the guests. My dad's face reflected the weight of the revelation, and the mood of the party transformed from lighthearted chatter to serious, intense conversations. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, and the joy of the celebration now blended with the complexities of family dynamics. Despite my stepmom's attempts to deflect, the truth emerged without stirring unnecessary conflict. My husband's measured approach ensured the truth was revealed with grace, and those around us began to notice the subtle shifts in our family. My father, ever composed, processed the revelation inwardly, retreating into silence, while the guests began to grasp the deeper significance of the evening. My husband's actions, rooted in empathy and respect, stood out, earning admiration from everyone around us. The celebration, though altered, became a memorable event, one that no guest would soon forget. Despite the underlying tensions, a renewed sense of trust began to surface among family members. It felt as though we had reached a turning point, stepping into a new chapter of our family dynamic. The journey wasn't easy, but facing unexpected revelations together only strengthened our bonds. What started as a wedding day evolved into a milestone far greater than we could have imagined. Together, we found ourselves venturing into uncharted territory, uncertain yet hopeful for this new beginning. With quiet determination, my husband guided us toward a deeper understanding. As family gathered around, we began to recognize and accept the evolving dynamics that now shaped our relationships. Together, we embraced these changes with respect and a willingness to adapt. It marked a pivotal moment, one filled with the promise of growth and new beginnings. This was no longer just about celebrating our marriage. It was about forging a path forward for our family, united in purpose and hope. Our wedding became more than a celebration. It became a catalyst for confronting truths and seeking resolution. The challenges we faced strengthened our bonds and redefined relationships in ways we never anticipated. Though difficult, the experience fostered a shared understanding and, perhaps, brought a quiet sense of healing. We came to realize that the true beauty of the day wasn't just in the vows we exchanged, but in the courage we discovered during those trying moments. As the room settled briefly, our family took a moment to regroup and find clarity. Yet, the celebration never truly dimmed. Slowly, the dance floor came alive again, and the night regained its joyful rhythm. Together, we navigated the challenges, forging a memory both profound and unforgettable. Our guests rallied around us, their laughter echoing through the evening, and in those moments of shared happiness, we felt the undeniable presence of love.